Gump report. Gotta do a Gump report. But it is not news. This is not news. This is more of talking about exoneration in a sense. Now, before I get started, there's someone that I need to address, and you know who you are. You saw me yesterday. Guys, I'm not going to say much about this because this is still private. But one person, you know who you are. Don't leave a comment. You've already said you're not going to comment or anything. You don't need to. He knew me before I even said I did YouTube. But he and I saw each other yesterday. And he told me he knew who I was on YouTube on this channel. I never told him that I did YouTube. But he's a wrestling fan. And he wanted to know what was going on with Vicky and her daughter. And there was very few people talking about it, but he came across me. And he was shocked that it was me who did the report. And, talking about it. And I'm like, someone recognized me? What the fuck? But it was someone I already knew. And I didn't expect that person to know. And you know who you are, my boy. Love you. You know who you are. I love you. And thank you for saying what you said. And I had to say this because also going along with what I want to talk about, which is exoneration. Because it's not about I'm bragging about what I do on YouTube. You guys who have seen me for years knows that I'm not like all the other YouTubers. Not that I'm making money. I'm not. I'm disabled. I don't make no money off this channel. Legitimately nothing. I'm not making any money. But it's not about making money. This is about expressing my opinion on pro wrestling. I admitted that at one point for 10 straight years, I could not watch wrestling constantly because I was working a lot. My wife didn't like wrestling, so I did not watch it much. It was very rare that I was able to watch anything of the NWO, of ECW, of the Monday Night Wars. I barely saw anything until after 2002 when I was watching generally SmackDown constantly because I was able to see it on public television. I was not able to see Raw. Not until 2010 when I was able to get the internet through broadband connection because I wasn't able to see it otherwise. Did I see TNA? Did I see National Wrestling League? Did I see Raw, which is Booker T's promotion, where I could see TNA, not just from what I just said earlier, but constantly, and I could start doing reviews of it. I had been watching wrestling almost my entire life, except for those 10 years that I saw it sporadically. I've been watching longer than most people have been alive. And my opinion is my opinion. I'm not always right. I admit I'm not always right. But when I am right, but no one else sees it, I go like, you know what, I'm sure this is right, but no one's not going to see it until something happens. And now something's happened. As you see from the title, TKO WWE is collapsing. Here's why. Right now, the one I spoke to, the guy I just spoke and thanked, he talked to me and he pretty much said, dude, the way wrestling is, it's not really great when it comes to WWE. And one of the other subscribers, you know who you are, my friend who always says WWE always shoots himself in the foot. He doesn't say it anymore now due to the fact there is no more WWE, as I've stated over ad nauseum. WWE does not exist. There is no company called WWE World Wrestling Entertainment. It is a satellite company of TKO Group Holdings. It is TKO WWE. Even if they don't mention it, that is what it is. And I've stated this since the merger, since TKO Group Holdings was formed. How is this company going to run now? When Vince was the executive chairman, I knew things weren't going to change much. Everyone knew things weren't going to change much. But then when the allegations came, he left. He had to. He was forced out. And then when he tried to come back, flat out, guess what? He was bought out. Ari Emanuel bought him out. And he's done. He has no more shares in TKO Group Holdings. And whatever shares he has in WWE, that satellite company of TKO, he'll still always have money. So we already know this. But now we have The Rock as the executive chairman, I believe. or the chairman of the board. I don't remember which one he is. But the point is, even with Triple H on creative, even with The Rock being part of the board itself, seeing that Nick Khan is still there means nothing. It is always going to be about Ari. As I've stated before, Ari is the one who's the head of that satellite company. It doesn't make a difference if you have someone who runs the day-to-day operations. It is always going to be the person who is owning everything will always tell the one who's doing the day-to-day operations, stop what you're doing, do this. And that is what we had for almost a whole year. Now, taking away from the bloodline, which has been going on for nearly 4.5 years until it ended at War Games, because it's been over since then. Yes, there were sporadic moments where you saw the whole bloodline together doing what they did, but last year, November, was it. The bloodline storyline ended. But also around that time, guess what? They were winding down on Judgment Day. Judgment Day was no longer the most dominant group on Raw, but the bloodline was no longer the most important group on SmackDown. They're both gone, and I stated so many times, they only had 2 storylines, and only one of them went around for everyone. Almost every story that was being done, including Judgment Day, had some aspects of the bloodline mixed in with it, to some extent. And now the bloodline storyline is over, and the major amount of time that we had the Terror Twins working with, guess who? This is where it gets so stupid. When you see Judgment Day having to work with Final Testament, which made no sense, it was stupid due to the fact they had no idea what to do. Remember, and this is what not many people remember anymore, still don't remember, Ari Emanuel's daughter is on creative. It isn't just Triple H who makes these decisions. Ari's daughter is still in creative, and at any time, Ari's daughter can tell Triple H, Ari wants you to do this. Ari wants you to do that. And if anybody says Ari is not going to interfere, wrong. Think about what we've been getting for the last year. This is not about the bloodline storyline being over 4 to 4.5 years. This is not about this. This is about when the company was merged and a new company was created and it was merged with it. Regular storytelling ended. This is about making huge amounts of money at any point, at any cost. If you looked how the company's been for the last year before Naomi, and I'll be talking about her, Trinity, I will talk about her. I will talk about Tiffany Stratton and about Charlotte. I admit, because of all that's been going on with me in my building, I actually forgot to talk about Tiffany and Charlotte. But I'll talk about it here. But when you look at this situation with the collapse of TKO WWE, you're going to see that the major problem we got now is that all their focus is not about storytelling. It's not about pleasing the fan. It is about getting money from the fan at any cost. When you took a look at Vince, before we get to everything else, let's look at Vince, whether you like him or not. And you could still say, as Mr. McMahon on television, he was so entertaining. But the actual Vincent Kennedy McMahon was probably a dick who didn't give a fuck about anybody. And if the allegations are true, which probably they all are, or at least most of them, he deserves to rot in prison. But if you take away that part and look at the promoter and the character that he portrayed on TV, yes, he knew what he was doing because he was the son of a promoter and he had a very creative mind. And when it comes down to it, he managed to turn this regional, little rinky-dink, little promotion into the biggest and most baddest place you can exist in wrestling. He did it. But the thing that I've always stated over the years is Vince was a promoter. He was not a businessman. You could hear people always say Vince is a great businessman. No, he was not. He is a promoter at heart, at his core. What he started with his father saying himself, when you look at the older documentaries, not the one that was on either A&E or which one was the other? I think he did do, no, he didn't do The Dark Side of the Ring. He just did the A&E one that came out months ago. But when you look at what he said years ago, he used to go to his father and he used to say, Dad, what is this? He used to write out stories. He used to write out the way he would book and how he would make the people look. That is what he used to present to his father. That is who we're dealing with when it came to Vince. He was a creative and he was a promoter's son at heart. And he decided at one point he wanted to be a businessman. And that is why WWE became what it was. But now, we are not dealing with, and again, we are not dealing with a promoter's son. We are dealing with a direct, straight out businessman who runs corporations. Ari bought the UFC. He made his own company endeavor. He sees things in the terms of corporations, not trying to create the most handcrafted story that will go with your product. He doesn't care what is produced by the product. He only cares about what the product can produce for him, his shareholders, and his directors. Not director board, but the people who are on the board of directors. I'm sorry. This is what we have. He will give permission to do what you need to at these companies. He said it himself when he did his interview just before the merger. He said, I always admired Vince. And if I remember correctly, this is me. He never said, I was a big wrestling fan. No. What I do remember is that I met Vince and I was an admirer of his. And we became friends and we've been friends for 20 years. He never said, ever, that he was a wrestling fan from the moment he met Vince or before he met Vince. None of it. He is a businessman. And I said this for nearly a year, and now it's over a year. We are dealing with an owner who is a guy who only cares about business. No one wanted to hear that. The only thing they saw, the Triple H era. We now have the Triple H era. Well, guess what now? JD is pissed. I just saw most of his SmackDown review. I stopped watching most of his review. Well, actually, I didn't even see his SmackDown review. He has been talking about for almost over an hour from what I was watching about what's going on with the company. Now, I have not seen Alex. At this time, it is still before his review is going to be released on YouTube. I don't know. But for the last few times I managed to see Alex, because I don't see him often like JD. I only catch some of their show because usually I'm going to do my own video review or I'm doing something else and I don't always watch them all the time. It's not something you can always do. Look, guys, I've done over 2,500 videos. And it's hard to keep up with all the videos that I do. And trying to watch something and also having to deal with normal life, you don't always watch the people that you respect or at least understand. But when it comes to Alex, for the last couple of videos I managed to see, he seemed to be mostly fine with it. What he's not fine with was AEW. So I'm going to be very curious to see what he's going to say about this SmackDown, because JD made it very clear, black and white. And one of my subscribers who left a message on my SmackDown review, you know who you are. You're also in JD's chat, and I believe Alex's chat. You said it flat out. You were on the money 2 or 3 years ago. That does make me feel happy. But as I said in my comment, I said, well, like I said, just let them wait and see, and they will find out for themselves. And supposedly now, people are unsatisfied with what's going on with WWE. One, you only had, as I said earlier, the Bloodline storyline, which was the only focus they had when Vince was there, and then when TKO WWE was formed, and after that, when Triple H was put on total control of creative, total control, unless Ari's daughter tells him to change it through her father. That's what we got. So the Bloodline storyline has been done for months. November, December, January, February, March. We only have one more month before April. It's been almost 5 months, it's like 4.25 months since the Bloodline storyline has been over. And there's been no new storyline other than John Cena's storyline. And at this point, when John Cena was introduced in the Elimination Chamber to turn heel, and you see, making my scalp itch, it kind of pisses me off. when you look at that guy, Scott, I can't remember his name, that fucking moron that was coming out there with that damn belt with The Rock, drinking liquor, and worse yet, when he went into the ring, didn't even act like you are there, smoking whatever, maybe vaping, or maybe even smoking a blunt. I don't even know what he did. I think he vaped. Not only didn't even know what he was supposed to do, he perforated Cody Rhodes in the ear. He got a perforated ear because he smacked him so hard in the ear, he screwed up his hearing. It's not just when you bring in a celebrity, no matter if they're in a hip hop or rap, or as a movie, or anything. It's the point that it's got to be someone that understands the business to a certain extent before you throw them in there. Bad Bunny was one of the few that fully understood that. That's why when he went to Puerto Rico with WWE in that pay-per-view, that is why it was so good. Logan Paul, you can say whatever you want about Logan. You can say his businesses are bad. You can say his crypto is fucked up. But it's the point that as a wrestler now, he is entertaining. He understood that. But as it stands now, the way they're doing things, they're only doing things to bring in people so they can get this. It's not about the content. Other than the pay-per-views, which have to deliver because they want to get seats full. And they want to get pay-per-views or PLEs full. And they want to get merch full. That's all that matters to them now. And that's the reason why, kind of like what's going on with AEW, the general storylines for anyone from the undercard, the mid-card, upper card, or the main event at this point looks like trash because they didn't build up the undercard. They have done almost nothing for the mid-card. You can say for Raw, SmackDown, they've done some stuff. Look at New Day, they changed heel. Yeah, but what's going on with them and Big E? Nothing. Big E is not talking. Big E is not interacting with them. If Big E had been a manager of another group and started rivaling New Day, that would have given us something. Because everybody wants Big E to go back in the ring, but he's still not cleared. But Big E could have been working with another group. They could have got a group of NXT. And they could have brought them up. And Big E could be the manager of that group. And he is the one that can make a full-time total war with New Day. Which, guess what? What the hell is New Day doing now? Nothing. Ever since that segment with Big E, they've done nothing. Then you look at the Latino World Order. What are they doing? They were having a feud with Judgment Day at one point. Legado del Fantasma at one point. But what are they doing? Nothing. Selena Vega's on her own. What is she doing? Look what happened with the SmackDown. I didn't notice it, but JD said there were 2 wardrobe malfunctions during that Piper Niven and Selena Vega match. I didn't even notice because it went on for so long, and I'm thinking, why didn't Alba Fire be the one to actually face her first? Because it made more sense for Alba Fire to face Selena Vega. You see, I'm getting angry. Selena Vega first, because Alba just came in. Why are you having Alba as the one who's next in line? And then, worse yet, you didn't help Selena Vega giving a Michin to back her up. Selena was in there by herself. She had to deal with Alba. She had to deal with Chelsea. And she had to deal with Piper Niven, who could have wiped her out within a few minutes. Even the crowd there in Italy loved Selena to a certain extent. It looked unrealistic. There are points in wrestling, I say this, guys, that you gotta make it, you can exaggerate it. You can have a small guy, a really small guy, go up against a big guy, but you gotta make it mean something first. You gotta make that small guy or girl mean something. Like, they're one of the best that could go up against this person if they got a faction. One, then the next one, then the next one. But when it came to Zelina, they just threw this match out there, and it was way too long for her. And I'm not even against Selena or Piper Niven. I understand Selena better than anyone because I used to watch her in TNA before she came to WWE. I did see her in NXT as well. I saw her working with Legado del Fantasma. I know Selena. She can wrestle, but it's got to be against people that can give her something realistically, a chance to get somewhere. When it came to her going against Rhea Ripley in Puerto Rico, remember, yes, She didn't stand a chance against Rhea, but at least they built her up at least a bit. So when she finally did face her, she seemed at least credible. What did we get here? She didn't even go up against her with Alba Fire. Nothing. So it looked stupid. Now let's do Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte, which I did not talk about. Like I said, I kind of forgot. Let's make this very clear. I said this and I still mean it. If Charlotte doesn't job to Tiffany, what is the point? Now, I know JD is not fond of Tiffany. I mean, he doesn't hate her, but she really hasn't been built very well. And I agree. Tiffany has not been built 100% well. But here's the problem. Who does she have that can make her really feel important? The only person she's gone up against that had any importance was Naomi. And Naomi has been used constantly to promote other storylines. She has never, since she came back, never looked important, relevant. So all this time that Naomi came back, Trinity, she has felt completely useless. She has felt completely misused. Sorry about that. My battery was about to die. Guys, Naomi has been misused. Flat out. As if I remember correctly, when Triple H and the Clique fell apart and they went to WCW, what happened to Triple H? He was told by Vince, you know everyone is gone and you're the only one left. I gotta punish you. Said, yeah. You're gonna eat the taste of shit. You're gonna like it. If Naomi is still being treated like that, I state this 100% again. Why did she come back to the place that she started? She should have stayed in TNA. Like I said so many times before, she should have never left, and I'm hoping her contract is not longer than 2 years. I'm hoping it's not a 5-year contract or a 3-year contract. If she can get a 2-year, or I know they normally do like a 3-year contract or a 5-year contract. I'm hoping there was some way that she can get a 2-year, but I doubt it. But when it came to Tiff, she had no one else to be dealing with. Look at when it comes to Laura Valkyria, who's currently the IC champion. What has she done? She has no real competition. We had Chance and Carter in the back at one point. I don't even know if they're still part of the company. We have so many women that were called up from NXT that are not being used. If they're not released, they've not been used to go up against the IC champion. None of them have been built up. None of them have no story. So see it like this, guys. For the under and mid card, for the women's US and women's IC champions, who do they have that make them feel credible? Tell me. And taking out, you got to take out Raquel Rodriguez. You got to take out Liv Morgan. You got to take out Nia Jax. You got to take out Charlotte Flair. Take those women out, along with Bayley. Take those women out, along with a Naomi. Who do they have that they can make them feel relevant? Who? I'm sure you're going to say, well, what about Io Sky? Io Sky had relevance along with Dakota Kai, but they don't have it anymore. Damage Control lost their luster many, many, many months ago. So they don't mean anything. And on top of that, what are we getting now? We're not getting much. When it comes to the men, look what's going on with Shinsuke Nakamura, who now has dropped his title. LA Knight, who now has the title. Braun Breaker, who now has the title. And I'm talking about Shinsuke. I have to. Shinsuke Nakamura, who I always felt he should have been called the Shogun. And he should have been built way better than he was. Has done nothing. When he got that damn title, felt like it was empty. You know what they could have done? This is what they could have done. What they could have done was with Shinsuke Nakamura, he wins the IC title or the US title, didn't matter. Akira Tozawa joins him. I know that's being very stereotypical that the Japanese guys would join them, along with the Japanese women as well. It would be the best option for the Shogun to have Io Sky and Shinsuke Nakamura as well as Akira Tozawa by his side. I mean, I know I'm saying Akira Kurosawa. You see, this frustrates me a lot. That's why I sound so confused. I'm sorry. When it comes to Shinsuke Nakamura as the Shogun, Akira Tozawa could be a samurai, and you can say Io Sky could also be his samurai, or Io Shirai. He reverts her back to Io Shirai instead of Sky, and they're both his you got the Shogun, and then you have his two, maybe a ninja, maybe a samurai. I know that is being stereotypical. I am not enjoying it, but in pro wrestling, they do that. You could have done that. The Shogun and his family, his clan. You could say the Shogun's clan. You can use some terminology from Japanese culture. There would have been nothing wrong with it, but they didn't. Then you look at LA Knight, my boy, the former Eli Drake, my boy. What the hell has he been doing? Worked with Carmelo Hayes, worked with Andrade, worked with Shinsuke Nakamura, worked with Braun Strowman, worked with Solo Sikoa, worked with, to a certain extent, Jacob Fatu. I'll get to him in a minute. But honestly, he's worked with a lot of people. But does he feel important? No. Why? Because you need someone who's in that position to work with someone who is just as relevant as him. And on SmackDown, there isn't anybody. Now look at Braun Breaker, who's done very well. I do not like the music they switched him to. I like the older music. I felt the older music fit him perfectly. That's just me. You might like his current music. I do not. But where have we gone with Braun Breaker? Honestly, nowhere. He went up against Sammy. He's gone up against Kaiser. He's gone up against who? Who is an important person that Braun Breaker could go up against that truly could give him a real challenge? There's been nobody. There's been no one that really felt important. Not even Sheamus made him feel important. He could have gone up against Drew McIntyre. That would have been something. But they didn't put him against Drew. Drew would have been the best person to put him up against. Someone new for Drew, who, like I said in my SmackDown review, has become stale. This feud he has with, well, I can't say he's stale right now because he is with Damian Priest. But once their feud is over, if they do another situation where he feels screwed by someone and then he has a vendetta with them, he's perfectly stale at that point. But this is the last time he can do what he's doing with this character in this type of story. Wanting to get revenge on anyone who's done him wrong. And he's supposedly done wrong by a lot of people. When it comes to Solo, when it came to Roman Reigns, when it came to even Sheamus at one point, when it came to Sami Zayn, when it came to Jey Uso, when it came to Seth Rollins, heavily into Punk, which was the best story out of them all other than Roman Reigns, he's stale after Damian Priest. That's it. So everybody has done the same thing with the same people for so long, with stories that were almost revolving around the bloodline or around Judgment Day. As I said in the very opening of this video. Well, not the opening video, it's a little later. But you get my point. The collapse of TKO WWE, it's happening. There are no stories. They didn't bother to build anything other than Bloodline storyline. And to a certain extent, here's the Bloodline storyline. Nothing even came here. The only thing that was close was Judgment Day. You could say, what about the people in between? That's not the problem here. There were some people that were near the main event, like Cody and stuff. But it still revolved around either Judgment Day or the Bloodline storyline. The Bloodline... This is why it took me a while to make this type of decision, to make this video. Because you see, I said this years ago. There were only two storylines that was going on. The Bloodline and Judgment Day. Everything else was irrelevant. And now there is no Bloodline storyline. There is no Judgment Day storyline. There is nothing for how many months? November, December, January, February, March. November and December. December and January. January and February. February and March. 4 months. I had to recount it again just to make sure I'm right. 4 months without the Bloodline storyline. 4 months without something of Judgment Day. Right now, Judgment Day is a shadow of itself. There is no Bloodline storyline. Hell, we're looking at Solo having a feud with Jacob Fatu, and if I'm right, Tama Tonga is going to have to decide who is he going to be side of. Because when you saw that conversation they were having, Tama Tonga is going like this. He doesn't know what to do. Because as far as he's concerned, it looks like he can see both his family about to fight one another. That's it. No bothering to build up any other stories while the major ones were so hot. Because no one cared. You know why? They didn't have to work that hard. And that's what JD said, and he's correct. But what was more important than anything else that JD's not looking at, by them pushing so hard with the Bloodline storyline, and to a certain extent, when it came to Judgment Day, the money was coming in big. The money was more important than anything. And I'm sure that is what they were focused on, trying to make sure that everything that was being produced the most yield of cash for the bookings when it comes to doing the arenas, when it comes to the merchandise, when it comes to the sales on television, particularly Netflix. That's all that mattered. Now, is there a way to correct this? To be honest, I haven't figured that out yet. I don't know what they can do about this. And you must understand, if they're willing to correct this. Understand, you guys, Triple H had to be given some order to maintain that storyline as long as possible. This isn't just that Triple H just ended the storyline and that was it. No. This was an order by Ari to do whatever it took to make the storyline as impactful as possible, and Triple H booked it in the Bloodline versus Bloodline over at War Games, which he did. But he wasn't able to build anything else after that, or worse, before that. Not because he couldn't have, but it probably didn't matter. His order was to do whatever it took to focus on the Bloodline storyline and, to an extent, Judgment Day. Everything else be damned. And this isn't all on Triple H's shoulders. This is Ari's shoulders. This is Creative's shoulders. This is all about them wanting to make this much amount of money. Remember, WrestleMania 40 made the biggest amount of money they've made in years. Had the most shares and had the most ticket sales. Some of those ticket sales does almost as much as paying for an apartment at this point, or a car payment. That's all they cared about. And even though they're probably already finished and they're probably going to head back to the States soon. All that, it's still about making the most amount of money. They're not caring about making the most handcrafted stories. It's about making the money. It's not about just being lazy. This is about what will make the money. And at this moment, they didn't try to make sure they can keep doing it. So, like I said, this is about not if you can correct this. This is about if they want to correct it. They're going to keep doing whatever they can to make money. And if it's not doing stories, they're going to keep throwing matches out there, keep bringing celebrities in, keep doing some type of special event that they think will really entice everyone. Because like I said, this isn't about what Triple H wants. This is about what Ari wants. And Ari wants whatever is going to make the biggest amount of money. If there's no story to it, Ari doesn't care. He will tell Triple H, make sure these people are being booked and make sure it goes to the next pay-per-view because we want this. And even if he tells them it doesn't work that way, you must do some stories. If Ari says, and I said this so many times, if Ari tells Triple H, make this like this, and he says, we can't do this. We got to book these people. We got to give them characters. This is going to take months. And if he says, do this, or you're fired, what does Triple H do? Puts his hands up and say, okay, if that's what you want. You own the company. I will do as you order. That's it. I'm making it clear. Triple H is not out of this. He is the one who is booking the majority of this. And even with Ari's daughter there, he could have set up more better storylines than what he has. But if Ari tells him, do it the way I want, or you'll be fired, he will do what he's ordered to do. It doesn't make a difference. He'll follow his orders. So part of this is part of Triple H's problem. But the rest is Ari and will always be Ari. Ari is the one who owns the company. And this is just me. And I hope this makes any sense. This is a long-winded video. Woo. Hope you don't mind me just pretty much yapping. Peace.